Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay. The title that we are toying with, and maybe we'll go with it, is it sounds a little clickbaity.
Yes.
But remember that things are only clickbaity if they don't actually pay off, right? Like, click here to see the one crazy tip that will make you lose 300 pounds in 4 minutes. Like, okay, nobody's actually going to deliver that. It's only clickbait if it's not paid off. So I'm saying that this topic is going to pay off.
If you put it into practice.
If you put it into practice. So what, again, we're toying with the subtle mindset shift that will double your copywriting income. And I would even say it's even, I think, a little conservative to say double. It could easily triple or quadruple your copywriting income. Maybe that's just a little bit too much to actually put on a post, but in all practical terms, it will at least double your income.
Well, for some people who are kind of stuck getting started, it might take your income from zero to having a thriving copywriting career, quite frankly. So I feel like it's more of a career mindset that this is something you're going to want to adopt to have a career in this field, but quite frankly, in any field that you choose.
Exactly. And now if you have your pen and you're like, oh, okay, they're going to tell us how to change one part of my pitch subject line, and that's going to do it. Or, oh, this is going to be I do want to preface this first, and don't hit stop yet. I do want to preface this by saying that what we're going to talk about is some mindset stuff. Again, wait, don't hit stop. I will be the first.
We used to roll our eyes at it too.
Yes.
We get it.
Exactly. I would be the first person to tell you when people said, yeah, you need to change your mindset on this stuff. I'd be like, okay, great. You go ahead and change your mindset. I'm going to get the strategy, and then I'm actually going to be making money. What I can tell you now is that mindset is actually essential. And this specific mindset, I'm not at all joking when I say that when you embrace it, I'm not going to say if, but when you embrace it, it will at least double your income. So stick with us. The mindset shift itself.
Do we want to reveal it?
And catch us next week when we actually tell you what that mindset shift is. No, but the actual mindset shift is to treat your business like a business. And we're going to dig into exactly specifically what that means, and also why not treating it like a business is a problem. But I can tell you that for me, for Filthy Rich Writer and for Nicki K Media as a whole, there were a lot of years that I was just kind of dabbling with it. We had an amazing course, and we were selling the course, and people were seeing fantastic results, but I wasn't seeing the results in the business. And I could tell you that is absolutely attributed to me not treating the business like a business. And this will also be the same when it comes to your copywriting business.
Yeah. Too often, I think a lot of copywriters and the majority of Comprehensive Copywriting Academy students come to copywriting from a completely different field, or they're working a full-time job and they're looking to transition into copywriting full-time, or maybe they want to make this a part-time side hustle. But so many people treat that side hustle like it's a hobby, like it's a nice to have, like it's if I do anything extra, like cool, but it's not. But then we wonder why it's not becoming the copywriting business that we want it to be. We wonder why we can't transition from our full-time job to another full-time job. We wonder why we can't get it off the ground. And that's because we've spent so much time just treating it as like, it's there and it'll happen if it happens, versus it'll happen if we make it happen and see it more as, this is my goal. This is a business. And as a business, I need to put on my CEO hat and get a little bit ruthless with the choices I'm making, with how I'm treating myself. And not that you want to be unkind to yourself. I'm not saying that by any means. You want to be very, very kind to yourself. That's part of it too. Being kind to yourself as a CEO, but not letting yourself off the hook when it's, I'd rather just watch Netflix, and I'd rather just scroll on my phone on Instagram for 30 minutes, an hour, however many hours a day. definitely look at your phone and see how much time you're spending on social media. But that time alone could be time that you are putting towards your business and working on tasks that are actually going to move your business forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think sometimes too, we think we're treating our business like a business. Like, well, I'm in the course and I'm posting on Facebook cards. Exactly. And that's great. But there are things that you will notice that are kind of earmarks of you not treating your business like a business. Number one, like Kate said, and yes, we certainly have to balance things out. And there will be times when you're just too exhausted, but letting yourself off the hook a lot. Mm-hmm. If it's, well, like, I'm going to get to sending that pitch by the end of the week. And then the end of the week comes and no, you know what?
I don't want to send it on Friday because they're not going to get to it on Friday. So I'll send it on Monday.
And then Monday comes and you don't do it. And it just not doing the things that you should do. Well, and then also along those lines, the things that we are afraid to do, letting ourselves off the hook. Like, well, I know I need to build my website, but it makes me really uncomfortable. So I'm not going to do it. You're going to keep pushing it off for that, or sending your first pitch, or sending follow-ups for your pitches, or reaching out to the client that you had a conversation with and you haven't heard back from them. Not doing the things that you are like that make you uncomfortable or that you're afraid to do.
Well, in a telltale sign, I think for a lot of these is that you're making excuses that sound really good in your head. And we're really good as humans as making excuses and making ourselves feel better and getting rid of that discomfort. And so it becomes, like we said with the pitch, oh, well, if I send it on a Friday, they're not going to get it because then they're out of office. And so I need to send it on Monday, but then Monday comes and it's like, you come up with another excuse. Well, I don't want to send it first thing on Monday because that'll seem desperate. And we have all of these assumptions. Send it on a Friday. Send it on a Monday. Sending it is better than not sending it, really, when it comes down to it, when it comes to a pitch. Or, I need a logo because my business will look so much more professional and people are going to take me seriously. No one can. Your clients do not care about a logo. You were writing copy. If you were a designer, maybe, because then they could see your design work for yourself and that you create a logo, but we're not designers. And so we're so good at coming up with, I'm going to watch Netflix for an hour because I had a really, really busy day. And maybe you did, and by no means, but then that hour becomes, it's already late. So I'll start again tomorrow because tonight's a wash. And when even 30 minutes gets you 30 minutes closer, and we are so good at just moving that goalpost of when we need to get something done that we never do it.
Exactly. And so Kate mentioned the CEO hat a little bit earlier. As you're looking to treat your business like a business, one of the best tactics I've ever had is to put on your CEO hat and view the things that you are doing from the perspective of the CEO of your business. Now, here's the thing. We are one people business, which means that we carry out a lot of roles, right? We're the CEO, we're the HR person, we are the employee, we're finance, we're all those roles. But so take the time and put on your CEO hat and view all of these things. If you were the CEO and you said, okay, I need you to send out 5 pitches this week to your employee. And at the end of the week, you check in with the employee and the employee says, oh, I was going to, but I don't know. I just started to get really nervous about it. And then I thought I don't know, maybe I'm not good enough yet. And maybe if I wait till next week, I'll feel a little bit better. And believe me, I'm not mocking. The self-doubt is absolutely a real thing. Yes, we all feel it. I'm not at all mocking that. But these are the things that we think in our heads, right? But what I'm saying is if the employee came to the CEO and said, oh, I know I was supposed to do it, but I was just feeling really nervous about it this week. And so I decided maybe I'll just look at doing it next week, or maybe the CEO
watch YouTube videos all day at work instead of actually doing the work.
Yeah. The CEO would absolutely not stand for that. The CEO would say, no, that's unacceptable. And if you want to clock out for the week, you're going to have to send those 5 pitches before you leave, because this is your job. And that's part of what it means to take your business seriously, because you are the owner of the business and this is your job. Now, yes, you may be, and quite frankly, are likely, if you're not full-time yet, are building it on top of another job, or you're either working, maybe you're working full-time at another job, you're working part-time at another job, maybe you're raising kids, you have other responsibilities, certainly. But it's not going to be until you take your responsibilities as a copywriter seriously that you're going to see any success as a copywriter. It doesn't just fall in your lap. Yes, there will be serendipitous moments, right? You'll be in line at a grocery store and you'll be chatting with someone like, oh my gosh, I need a copywriter, or a friend of a friend will need some. There will be that throughout your career. But first of all, you can't rely on them. And second of all, those are going to happen a lot more often when you actually do the fundamental business things that you need to do.
The nice thing is to obviously setting boundaries for yourself as the CEO to say, okay, when I'm getting down to my copywriting work, I'm getting down to my copywriting work. This is my time. The nice thing is you can put that time where it works in your schedule. So if you were pounding against the wall trying to make 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. work for you and it's just not, great. Try a different time. And this might be something you have to revisit every quarter, every year, however often you need to adjust your schedule so that it works for you. So that's obviously a perk of why many of us get into this, because we can do it when it works for us, but truly do it when it works for you. If find the time that works, and then set the steps that you need to take in that time. And I think what all of us are guilty of is setting out too many steps, or not realizing we're setting out too many steps to tackle in 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, whatever time that we have. So let me use an example. I think the portfolio is a great example. I'm going to create my portfolio this Saturday. I'm going to get my portfolio done. And then you start to dig into it and you're like, overwhelmed instantly, inevitably. I need a URL. I need which template am I going to use? Squarespace, WordPress, Wix. What am I going to use? What platform? What template? What pages do I need? What do I want my voice to sound like? Oh, now I have to write copy. Now I need my sample. There's a lot of steps within Build Portfolio. Build Portfolio is not one step. Mm-hmm. And so breaking it down into tiny steps, and then in that 30 minutes, 2 hours, however many minutes you have in a given day that you're working on this, what's the one thing that you can get done and say, okay, I made one step closer to my business?
Yeah.
Because that motivation, that mindset is going to be so much more helpful to you and so much more propelling you forward to the next day and the next step of what you need to do, versus saying, oh, I'll build my portfolio and I didn't achieve it. And I'm just going to get my cut out for this.
Well, and that's an excellent point too, because a good CEO is not going to give an employee more work than they can reasonably do. So if you as the CEO are going, I'm going to send 5 pitches this week, and then as the employee, you're looking at your schedule and you're going, realistically, I can't send 5 pitches. Or maybe day one, you start sitting down, you start writing and you go, oh, this is one of my first pitches. So this is actually going to take me a little bit longer to write it and polish it than, of course, when you've been pitching a lot, and we'll get so much faster. But you may have to go back to your CEO and say, look, I want to get to the point where I'm sending 5 a week. Absolutely. But for this first week, I think it's reasonable to send 1. Right. And then they're both in your head. I realize this, but then your CEO and your employee can come to agreement. And then maybe it's the next week. Okay, we did 1 last week. Let's try for 2 this week. But a good CEO, which is of course what you want to be, is not going to have, it's going to have high expectations. Or they, I should say, are going to have high expectations for their employee, but they're not going to have unreasonable expectations. They're not going to work their employees to the bone, because I can tell you that as a business owner, that is also one of our jobs, is to make sure that your employees are taking care of themselves. I have a fantastic team. And one of my jobs is to say, Kate, you've been working so hard. Take tomorrow off, or why don't you take a half day tomorrow? Or
tomorrow's Saturday, Nicki, I'm already taking it off.
You weren't going to work tomorrow? Kate. Well, then I guess you can make it up on Sunday. No, but there has to be, as any business owner would, you expect your employees to get work done. but you also have to make sure that nobody is overworking. And there are going to be some times when it's like, oh man, you know what? This was a tough week. Let's cut out early. Let's cut out. It's Friday. You know what? It's 2:00. Let's end the work week here, or let's do this one or two little thing and let's just end the work week here. But let's set ourselves up for Monday so that we know exactly what we're going to do and we're ready to hit the ground running. But it's the other side of that coin, the when you're not thinking with the CEO hat, when it's, oh, I'm just gonna push this down there. I'm just gonna get to that eventually, or I'm going to. It's it's permissiveness, but you know what it is? It's letting that resistance mind. And our students know we talk about resistance and the resistance mind, the primitive mind. And if you want a refresher, CCA students, go back to module 0 and go into that Bust Through Your Fears and Blocks course, because we dig into them both there. But it's letting that fear voice that wants to keep you in your safety zone, letting it use its most insidious tactics. When instead of getting something done, it goes, oh, but you know what? You've worked so hard this week. Why don't you just take a break? Why don't you just not do that? Or, you know what? This is a little bit harder than you thought it was going to be. Maybe you're not cut out to do this. All of those kinds of things. When you're letting that voice take the lead instead of your CEO voice, you're never going to get anywhere, because you're not letting yourself take it seriously.
And this is going to keep coming up too, even as you grow within your career. Particularly, I'm thinking, as your business, where you have too much work, and there will be a point where that happens. Absolutely. Where you just say, I can't take on this project from this client. And so starting to think about, okay, what if I hired a VA and they could take maybe 5 hours off my plate of, maybe they can do a lot of research, or they can do the invoicing and that sort of thing.
And that's virtual assistant, if that term is new to you. Mm-hmm.
And so what often happens though, is that maybe you're considering that, but then you think, oh no, it's too much, training them or hiring, and I don't even know how to go about that. And you let those next steps get in the way, or it's going to be too expensive, versus actually doing the math as the CEO to say, okay, if I took this time, hired this person at $25 an hour, whatever their rate is, maybe it's less, maybe it's more. But if your rate is 50, 65, 75, 100, whatever it is, and theirs is still under your rate, and they could take that off your plate and free up 5 hours of your time to take on that higher level work, you're going to be still making money. And so I think what stops a lot of copywriters when they get to this stage in their career, they don't think about investing in their business and new ways to do it. They get tripped up by cost or by things that are very much a CEO would look at and say, objectively, this makes complete sense for our business. This is going to help us move forward and scale and move in the direction we want to go. And we like to stay small.
Well, I think that's a great example of even if you get to the point where you are very successful, it's still easy to get trapped in your comfort zone. That's still the resistance mind coming up and going, oh, it's going to be too hard to teach them. No. You need to do this yourself. Or when it comes to taking on too much work, then you get the resistance mind going the opposite direction, going, no, you need to, what if you never get another client again? You need to take all this work. You need to, it's letting that resistance, fear-based part of your mind drive you, instead of the objective, goals-oriented part of your mind that is thinking like the CEO and is weighing choices based on certainly factoring in some emotion. Absolutely. We're not robots, but weighing it in terms of like, all right, this makes me uncomfortable, but I do think that this is an important next step, at least something that I need to try. And it's only when you truly embrace that and you say, okay, I'm gonna that's what happened with my business. I've seen this happen with countless students. I've seen this happen with so many of my entrepreneur friends. There comes a point in your career where you go, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to do this. I know that I'm going to be uncomfortable sometimes. I know that some things are going to kick up some self-doubt, but I am going to take this seriously. I'm going to wear the CEO hat and I'm going to do the things that I need to do to reach my goals, whether I feel like it or not, because that's when you truly, truly transition from having a hobby to having a business. And that's where things kick off. That's where you start seeing the income really start coming in. That's where you start seeing the serendipity come in. Like, wow, I've been doing all this work and then this client just fell in my lap. That's how that kind of stuff happens. But it doesn't happen before you. This is one of the things we always say, right? It doesn't happen before you decide that you're going to take this seriously. You don't have a ton of success while you're still treating it as a hobby. Mm-hmm. If you're waiting for that success to start treating it seriously, it's not going to happen. You need to start treating it seriously in order to experience that success.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned earlier, business cards being something that people, well, I'm treating it seriously. I order business cards. Really being objective when you put on the CEO hat to say, what is the direct line to getting revenue? Mm-hmm. And when you're just starting out, sure, you need to build your portfolio, and some people want to build it before they pitch clients, and that's totally fine. That's a choice either way, but you can start pitching clients. That's what is going to bring in revenue. If you have no clients, then one client, and you need to build up your client base, pitching is the direct line to growing your business. All the other stuff is a nice to have. And the CEO, if you only have limited time in your business, the CEO would say, pitch. If you have time to post on LinkedIn or social media, great, but that comes secondary. That comes after you do your pitching tasks for the day, week, whatever it is. And if you don't have time for the other stuff, totally fine. You do not need a giant influencer social presence to have a thriving copywriting career. And if that is your goal, you need to focus on what's going to get you to that goal and the tasks that are going to get you to that goal. And getting to that goal, whatever it may be, financially, freedom-wise, time-wise, that you want in your life, posting on social media isn't a direct line to get you there. Pitching is.
I love that. I love that. If this were written down, I would go back and underline that whole section, being discerning about what you're actually, about the activities that you are doing. Some will have a major impact, some will not. And often, if we're feeling a little bit nervous about taking the next step, we're going to default to doing the stuff that doesn't have the big impact. We're going to default to posting on social media because then someone can find me, instead of going, all right, I'm uncomfortable at pitching, but I'm just going to do it. Because again, and that's something we've been looking at in our business, right? Is direct revenue. Indirect revenue. And even sometimes it's like,
not revenue.
That exactly. And like very indirect revenue. And that's unfortunately what posting on social media and posting on LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff, like very, very indirect. Can someone find you and then get in touch with you? Yeah, absolutely. But first of all, you can't bank on it. And no business is going to exist for long if they don't have a system for finding and landing clients or customers, depending on the business, of course. No business is going to last for very long if it depends on like, well, we do some stuff and then like maybe clients will find us. That's not how it works. But then that comes back down to, all right, how do I run my business? What is my system? What is the most important thing for me to be doing? What is the most important thing for me to focus on? And where do I need to have boundaries? Where do I need all of these kinds of things? But this mindset only comes when you fully embrace being a business. Up until then, it's you're and I don't say this to be mean or anything, but because I was there, we've certainly all been there. Up until that point, you're just kind of playing at business, right? It's a hobby. You're playing with it. But once you decided, I'll say it anyway. Once you go all in, and I don't mean by going all in, I don't mean like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna jump in with both feet. I'm going up. That's not at all what I mean by going all in. I mean going all in with the way that you're viewing your business, going all in with, this is my business. I am going to make this work. This can work. Well, our students are proving that again and again and again and again and again. So not only is it possible, it's almost inevitable if you just take the steps. But in order to take those steps, you have to view yourself as a business. You have to embrace that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so possibly a little bit maybe more than you necessarily want to do at this point. I get that. But what I'm hoping is that if this didn't light a big fire under you, that at least lit a spark, or at least helped you understand maybe why you haven't been getting much traction, or why you feel like you get to the end of the week and you haven't done any of the stuff that you have been meaning to do. It does not mean you're a bad person. It does not mean that you're going to fail at this. It does not mean that you're not meant to do this by any means. It just means that you have not yet decided that your business is a business, and you haven't started treating it like a business. So I know that we are both looking forward to you starting to do that. And so as you do, please comment, let us know if there has been anything in this episode that especially turned on a light bulb for you, or anything that made you say, all right, from now on, I'm going to take XYZ action. Definitely let us know, because we're so excited to see your success. But that success is only going to come once you say, yes, okay, this is a business and I'm treating it that way. So with that, we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.